everybody. I hope everybody's having a really good week this week. So this week, what's popping and dropping is a photo expand out pop-up card. And we can turn this into anything that we would like. On the front, I just did a fall scene with some squirrels, and then we open it up and it says, I'm nuts about you over here. And then we have all these little different areas. We can put a picture, or you can do different little scenes in them. This file will be available along with the one I'm going to show you how to put together. And today I'm going to show you how we're going to use photos instead of these little images here. So why don't we go ahead and head over to Design Space, and I'm going to show you everything that comes in the photo expand out pop-up card. I'll meet you over there. Okay guys, here we are in Design Space. This is the Squirrel Photo Expand Out pop-up card. This is what the file will look like when you open it up. Now let's toggle over to the other card. When you open the Photo Expand Out pop-up card, this is what the file will look something like. On our little squares here, the back one I'm using for like the base, put the photo on. But in our other file, in the Squirrel Photo Expand Out pop-up card, and this one I use both the big square and the small square, and in this small square I did the image of whatever you're putting. But I wanted to show you guys how I got my photos the size I wanted. What we need to do is upload your photos. Once you have them uploaded, how I got to mine, I went to home at the top left. Then once we're on home, I clicked on this one that looks like an open envelope. And then once I've done that, I've gone to images and then uploaded, and then choose whichever photos you're going to use. So I'm just going to go with this photo here, and we can just go ahead and add that photo to our canvas. Then once it's been added, we can click on the view down here, and it's going to take us back to the canvas. And then we have our photo. For the Photo Expand Out pop-up card, I'm going to choose to make this top one my photo. Now you could leave this as another pretty piece of paper and then make your image smaller and stack it on top of both of these, but I wanted my image to be a little bit bigger. I like to go up to basic cut and then change this to pen so I can see what I'm cutting out. So here's my square, and I'm going to need to minimize this picture. So you just click on it and drag it down. Aren't these girls just delicious? These are my great nieces, and I don't like that I don't have any image over here. So I'm going to blow it up a little bit bigger and then position my square where I'd like it. So I'm good with this. So we're just going to grab both of them, and if you just left click and drag your mouse over it, it'll highlight both of them. Then we can go down to the bottom and click on slice. And then once we slice it, we have our 1:3 photo that we need it to be. And then you can just delete part of the image you cut off. And then you just continue on until you have all of the photos that you want to upload. I had some sticker paper, and I just printed mine out to a print and cut, and was able to cut it on that. Now if you don't have sticker paper, you could do it on a white cardstock or photo paper and cut it out, and then just glue it down to your pretty piece of paper. So you just continue doing that until you have all of your photos. So in this file, you really don't need the light yellow square, but I left it here in case you do want to utilize it. We'll just be using the orangish piece, and then this top layer will be my photo. If you like, we can get all of our pictures uploaded that we want to use and get them cut to size. Don't forget to go up and name and save your project. Add any additional pieces that you would like to add to the file. And if you'd like, we can go ahead and get our pieces cut out. I'll meet you at the craft table and I'll show you how to put it together. I'll see you there. Okay guys, now that we are back at the craft table, let's get out our pretty paper and our card base. We can work that score line and put our pretty paper on. Our card is going to be opening like so this week. So why don't we go ahead and do that? All right, so we have our pretty paper done. Let's get out our pieces to our mechanism. So we have this guy and our pretty pieces that we will put on top of our mechanism, which are these little sticks and then the triangle, weird shape looking ones. But first, let's go ahead and just work on our mechanism here. So in the center here, we have a score line, and that one will end up being a mountain fold. And then once we have the center work, down here at the bottom, we have two little slanted lines for these legs. So you can fold it in half. You can put your thumbnail on that slanted line and then just work it back and forth. And then once you get it worked, you can open it up and then turn it over to the back side. And then they will fold in to the card like so. And then while we're here, we can go ahead and work these little tabs at the bottom on the right and the left. So once you have it worked, you should have something looking like that. Then you can put your legs back down if it's easier for you. And then we're just going to work the left side. That next one will be a valley fold. And we just want to fold that little triangle section there, not our leg. And then that last one is going to be a mountain. So this little piece over here. And then we'll just do the same thing back on our right side. So the middle one is a mountain fold. So the next one is going to be valley. And then our last one will be a mountain. And you don't need a real heavy piece of cardstock. This one I'm using is probably about 65 pound, but on this card, it's less than 65 pound. I don't know the exact, but I know it's not as heavy. So figure out which side you want to be your front. So I'm going to use this as my front. So we're going to open it up, and I'm going to go about 3 inches from the top of my base of my card. And if you want to measure that out, you can. And then once you have that about 3 inches, I'm just going to put a little dot in my score line. So then what we can do is take our two little legs. This is the front, this is the back, and we're going to fold those two legs to the back. So we kind of have a little arrow going on here. That arrow, we want to put the point of it of our little dot we made. And then we're going to take that center score line in our mechanism and line it up with the center score line in our card. So once we have it lined up, you should have something looking like that. And you can see how my score lines are lining up with one another. All we have to do is turn that over, and on those two little legs there, that's going to straddle your score line. And we're just going to put some glue down on our legs. So we have glue on our legs. We're going to keep this flat, and then we're just going to line that back up with our dot and our score line. Before you give it a good rub, let's give it a test out to make sure it's working, and it should just fold up in your card like so. Then what we can do for our little two tabs over here, we can fold that on that second score line on the left hand side, like so, and then our little tab will push to the back. Now we're just doing this to put glue on it. And once we have our glue on that tab, we're going to lay it back down flat. So we want to make sure everything is laying flat. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side, to our right side. So here's our center. There's our first score line to the right. Fold it back. Take our little tab and fold it into our mechanism. So it should look like that. And then we're just going to put glue on that tab. And then once we have glue on it, we're just making sure everything is straight and then giving that a good rub. It's not closing right. We might have to lift it up again. Now that we have our mechanism pushed back up, we can start folding it in and it should look something like that. And we can give it a good old rub. And then when we open it up, you should have something that looks like this. Now what we can do is take our little legs and put our pretty paper on each of our legs here. Now I'm going to do the same as my pretty paper, but you can use different colors if you would like. Like I did in this card, I just mixed the different colors up. So it's really up to you how you want to decorate your mechanism. When you're putting your little legs on, you're going to have a little border of the pink around each leg. So let's go ahead and glue this leg on. And once you have your pretty paper on, it'll look something like this. Now let's go ahead and put the rest of our pretty paper on our legs. So let's do that. Okay, so now we have all of our pretty paper on our legs of our mechanism here, and that's what it's looking like. Now we can take our little triangle pieces here, and they're just going to glue onto our card in that little section right there, and then so that's what it'll look like when we put those little pieces on. When you put it on, just make sure you're not crossing those score lines. So let's go ahead and put these guys on. And once you have it done, there should be a little bit of a border of whatever your back piece is. And then we can fold it up nicely into our card. And again, just remember, if it becomes wonky, just push it up from the back and then you'll be able to close it. Now we can move on to our pictures. I'm only going to be using the back piece that I cut out, and I'm just going to take my pictures that I've already print and cut with the Cricut, and you're just going to kind of center it in the center of that square right there. So we'll have that nice little border. I also want to mention, if you are using a heavier cardstock, you don't really have to put these pretty pieces on if you don't want to. But on a lighter weight cardstock, as you can see how this one right here, where I didn't put the pretty paper on, see how flimsy it is? But once you put that pretty paper on top of there, it makes it nice and sturdy. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're making your card. If you're using a heavy cardstock, you really don't have to put that pretty paper on top. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up and putting my photos on my little squares here. So let's do that. If you're going to do the same layout that I'm doing today, we need to save 3 pictures for the front. So I'm just going to quickly choose the ones that I want to put on the front. So I'm going to put those aside, and then we can get started with putting them on our card. Let's start with one of these ends over here. When you're putting your picture on your leg for these two ends, we need to be careful of how it's placed, because if we put it too far over here, it's not going to be able to turn. So we kind of want to move it closer to this leg over here. And you can always test it out by putting a little double-sided tape on it and checking it first. Okay, so see how it's on? Now I have a bit, it's not centered, I have a little bit more over to the right side. And as you notice, it's able to turn without catching or keeping our card from closing. Now this guy up here, I'm going to center it. So I'm going to put a little glue on here and then just place my picture down on my card. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my other side so I can make sure it's not going to interfere with anything. And so we just finished. Now that we have these on, you can pretty much place these guys anywhere on the legs. Now you can always test it out each time to make sure you're putting your picture in the right place. Then we're going to have three more that go up here. When you're putting your pictures on the base, you just want to make sure you're not putting it in that score line. About like so. So you can see my picture is not crossing over that score line there. So we can just put a little glue and then place that picture back down. And then the same thing for this side. Don't cross that score line there. And then for the last one, you just have to choose which side you want it on. And whichever side you choose, you just want to keep the glue in the center one of the center sections. So if you're going to place it on this side, which I can't because I made this one too close, so I'm going to place mine over here and kind of up so it's not interfering with this photo. So for the front, I'm going to do kind of a diagonal across my card. And then we have some words that's going to go here and here. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my letters on the front. We have our front finished. Now let's do our back for our message. We're going to put two little flowers, one at the top and one at the bottom like so, and then we can glue it on the back of our card. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we have our little banner here, and we have a score line in the center of that. So let's work that. And then we can work our little two legs down like so. So it'll be in the back, kind of like our mechanism here inside. And then we're going to take our pretty paper, put it inside like so. Now for our last little guy here, we're going to do the same thing. This two little legs, we're going to fold back into our piece, and it's going to straddle that score line. And you can line that score line up with the score line in your base of your card. That's what it looks like from the back. And then we'll just give it a push forward, and then I'm going to close it just to give it a good rub. And then our last two little pictures will go on our piece down here. And I'm just noticing I put this picture too close, so I'm kind of turning it a little so it doesn't catch on this photo up here. Okay, guys, so we have two files this week that you can choose from. You can do one, you can do both. I think both of them are really cute. One thing I forgot to show you on this card, and you can do it on any of the cards. In the file, there's little swirly confetti. There's one with the star and one with the heart. And you can add the little flowers and the stars or the hearts or whatever image you cut out to put on here to add some little accessories onto the card. And you just, when you're putting them on, the only thing you're doing is just making sure it's not catching on anything or coming outside of your card. So it's just another little cute addition you can add to your card. And this says, even though we are miles apart, you are always in our hearts. And I'm just loving how this card turned out. And then, of course, on the back, we have a nice little place where we can write a message. Guys, what do you call a flower that is rowdy? A wildflower. Guys, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and crafting with me. Don't forget to stop by next week to see what's popping and dropping. Bye.